Hey everyone, Sean here from Sean TCG, coming to you with a Malice deck profile as well as replay analysis from some time I've spent on the YGO Omega ladder. This deck list is the result of a butt kicking that I received about 5 days ago from an opponent on the Omega ranked ladder. It was a Malice mirror, which is not a match I find myself in often these days. I know there are Malice players out there, and shout out to everyone playing Malice at local and regional levels. I also want to give a shout out to um, Victor Vasquez, who had a top four recently at a South American regional with Malice. Allen, um, uh, who had a top eight finish with Ignister Malice at the Las Vegas regional. I mean, top eight from a Spanish Fork regional. That was Matt. Um, like we're eating good, and I think it's San Fernando regional had a top four finish with Malice from a guy named Jason. Like Malice is out there. And so I want to spend a couple minutes talking about the deck for those who may be new to this archetype, as well as for those who may be like me and can't quit Malice. How do we compete against the very top heavy meta that we're experiencing? Specifically, when I say top heavy, I'm thinking about decks like Cool Tune, Rollad, Elf Note. I would say those three decks make up what 50% of the field in terms of tournament play and top finishes in tournament play. Obviously, we're going to have some decks that are highly competitive, but perhaps have not broken through on that kind of mainstream level. Invoke, Sky Striker, Archmage piles, Branded piles, Mitsurugi piles, and then there's I think Malice sort of fits in this third tier of decks alongside stuff like Blitzclick, Yummy, Orcus, Doomsy, um, decks that obviously have high potential, but there's also a lot of risk that comes with the potential reward when you play a deck like Malice. And that's because consistency is a challenge for our deck. The ban lists have not been favorable to us. The deck has survived now for nearly 3 years. Was it the end of 2023 or end of 2024? So 2 or 3 years Malice has been out. It's still topping regionals. I think it will. I don't know if it will top at the YCS in Montreal. Probably not, based on my gut. I'd expect to see a lot of Cool Tune and Rollad just because I think a majority of players will bring that deck. And then I expect Elf Note to also appear in the top eight. After that, it's kind of a coin flip. So I want to talk about the deck list I'm currently running. It's a clean 40. I'm going to go through it like I would a YouTube profile. So I'm going to jump around a little bit. I know visually things might not be in perfect order. For our Malice names and our Malice engine, we run one copy of Dormouse, one copy of White Rabbit. Seeing these in your opening hand or getting to these is really the core of how this deck functions. Any hand or any game in which you don't get to Dormouse or White Rabbit at all is potentially going to be a struggle. After that, we run 3 copies of Chessy Cat. It's the worst starter, in my opinion, because I think of March Hare as more of an extender. Because on its own, it doesn't do anything, but there are a lot of 2-card combos with Chessy Cat where you're going to draw cards, hopefully banish another name, find ways to link climb. And then the 3 March Hare. So that gives us 8 cards, right? 3 Chessy Cat, 3 March Hare, Dormouse, and a White Rabbit. After that, we run our what do we? What's the phrase? These are our honorary Malice cards. We've got backup at Ignister, 3 of, and then the 1 wizard. We don't want to draw the wizard. We ideally going to search it out. We also run this gang of misfits and outcasts, the 3 Bestials, 1 dimension shifter. I also run 3 Ash, 2 Droll. Those are my only kind of monster hand traps. The last monster I want to discuss is the Phantom Knights of Doom Solaret. This is the card that my opponent played in that Malice mirror I mentioned, got my butt kicked, led me down a rabbit hole of wanting to understand how does this card or this archetype play nicely with Malice, and I think I cracked the code, and others have as well, right? I'm just kind of copying what I've seen others do successfully. So we're going to run 3 copies of Doom Solaret. This is a card that if you haven't played with it or seen it before, has a similar flavor to like the Radiant Typhoon sub engine and other sub engines where we're trying to special summon this card to either bait hand traps or distract our opponent. And if it does go uninterrupted, it really helps us link climb a lot faster. You pair this Doom Solaret with the Phantom Knight's trap card, Umbrage Veil. Basically, if you have a Phantom Knight's monster on the field or graveyard, you can activate it the turn it was set. Well, how do you set it? Well, when Doom Solaret is special summoned, you can grab this trap card and set it directly from the deck, bypassing Droll, bypassing Ash, and then you immediately now have 2 bodies, which you link summon off into Cherubini. So using a special summon, one special summon gets you to a link 2. And then the Cherubini effect to dump a card will play nicely into Firewall's return to hand effect. Continuing, I thought long and hard about the hand traps. I don't play any Charmies in the main deck. I don't play Bell. I don't play Ogre. Not because I think they're bad cards. I just have found that this list works for me currently in terms of the matches I play, the opponents I'm typically seeing on the ladder. All of that kind of stuff is subject to change. We run our customized Pot of Greed. Love that this card isn't banned or limited in any way. Anytime I want to play less than 3 in my main deck for game 1, I end up coming back to it. I think you'll see a range of decks that might play 2. The card is just so good. Draw 2, then banish 1 dark monster from your hand, right? Obviously, that does mean that I want to limit the number of non-dark monsters I'm likely to have in my opening hand, or that I'm likely to have in my hand if and when I draw this card. Hence why we don't have Ogre or Bell, this Earth and Light. The Doom Solaret plays nicely. If, say, we happen to draw a first or second copy at a time we might not need it, or we can't special summon it, it's good allure fodder. Same with like a Dimension Shifter. Anyone who's played Malice more than once knows the feeling of drawing into your Dimension Shifter when it's too late to use it, but it's still then valuable as a dump for the allure banish effect. Ideally, we are using allure's effect to banish a name and then climb. Gold Sarcophagus, this is also a custom Malice card. Love to see it in your opening hand. I've actually had hands where I didn't need it, which felt weird. Like by the time I could use this card, I had already banished all 4 starters. So maybe try and think of other clever ways. Maybe there's another card I can add to the deck that if banished has like a positive effect. Terraforming, which is our 3rd copy of Field Spell. Called by the Grave. I go back and forth on if Called by the Grave should be main deck or side deck. I currently run it in the main deck. I think Bestial Baldrake and Called by the Grave are great examples of cards that could be in the side deck. Baldrake you might not need it at all. So those are a couple of wild card spots for game 1. 1 Malice in the Mirror. I think this card is highly underrated. Yes, the value of banishing it to draw 2 and then use its banish effect to target a Malice card in graveyard and add a Malice card of the same type is very impactful. It's also just like Forbidden Droplet at home. The negate effect is not to be slept on. If you can get to the end board you want without banishing Malice and instead setting it to have as a banish and negate on your opponent's turn, I actually think there's an argument to run 2 copies, which is maybe not a popular opinion, might be cope. But the reality for Malice, in my opinion, especially going first, is that we don't put a lot of negates on the board. So I think Malice Mirror might need to be utilized in that way, in a way it really historically hasn't. 3 Impulse, probably my favorite card in the deck. Just love this style of card. I don't care that we get locked out of Light, Earth, and Wind. I have definitely impulsed when I had a Droll in hand and then realized that I had played myself. So Malice players, pay attention to that, Nombo. I run GWC. I don't think I'm behind. I think this card is a kind of fits in the same category of Baldrake and Called By. Like, do these need to be in the main deck game one? Maybe, maybe not. It's the worst of the traps, but also the if you've ever had the joy of activating this card, getting back a red ransom or a cryptor, and gaining those life points, as well as the not having cryptor or red ransom's effect be negated, the way that TB11 will negate the effect of whatever monster is special summon. There's just a lot of value to this. A lot of decks are doing combo one OTK slop, and there's a lot of spot removal. Fallen in the Virtuous, Ogre, um, a lot of extra deck monsters will pop your board. Rollout wants to pop your board. So having the ability to get back, and this to me, this is a game one card. Game two, I'll usually, if I'm going second, I'll side it out. But going first, if I can get to it, it's ideally part of my end board. And that's the main clean 40. They're open to suggestions on what you'd play or do differently, but this 40 is working for me currently. Extra deck. I'm a firm believer that Malice kind of locks you into 12 or 13 of the same cards, and then it's a matter of those 14th and 15th cards that, um, you know, uh, give you a bit of flexibility. We run 4 level 1s right now, including Almirage, Link Rebo, Link Disciple, and I just put Link Spider back in my deck. Nib is gaining in popularity, whether it should be, whether that's a smart thing for opponents to be doing. I have been nibbed more than once on the ladder, and I think it's that classic conundrum where when nib is good, it's like when no one plays nib, that makes it good again, and when everyone's playing nib, that makes it bad again. No one's playing nib right now, which means people will start playing it again, and you have to be ready for that. Cherubini is part of our Doom Solaret Phantom Knights combo. Ideally, it's the first Link monster I'm summoning on my turn one or game one combo. I'm going to use it to dump something impactful, because its on field effect is that you can um, send one level 3 monster from your deck to the graveyard, then target a Burning Abyss monster on the field. It gains attack. And that the gain attack stuff isn't really as relevant. But what I'll typically want to do is dump a hand trap. So if I have an Ash in hand, I might dump a Droll. If I have a Droll, I might dump an Ash. If I have enough hand traps, or I feel like I need more engine, I will likely dump a Malice name. If you have Phantom Knight of Doom Solaret in your opening hand alongside March Hare, or alongside a Bestial. So you have 6 cards that you could draw into your opening hand alongside um, the Doom Solaret. And if you can dump a Dormouse, having a link to on the board that then you Bestial or March Hare to banish the Dormouse you dump, it's a great feeling. So I would expect this card. It's a dark, it's not a Cyberse monster. Pay attention to that. You really want to get to this card early in the combo. Waiting is not going to do you any good, because you'll get locked out of it once you put Wizard on the board or something to that effect. I want IP Masquerade in my extra deck, because the that new Link 3 WBP whatever it is, Fancy Ball, is going to be coming out, and I think there's going to be worth testing if IP Masquerade is worth playing in Malice. I go back and forth. This is, to me, is an example of a card alongside like Link Spider you don't have to play, but currently I'm playing a copy of each. Lizardos, the goodest boy. One of the things I've found pretty funny recently is when you use the banish effect to make the attack, to change a monster's attack. Sometimes I target the Lizardos, but I do also enjoy targeting like my opponent's Blackluster Soldier, or targeting my opponent's monster when I'm going second. Lizardos doesn't always feel good going second, especially if it gets popped or negated. But if you have enough, gas in your hand, using the Lizardos to drop the attack of an opponent's monster can be really impactful. Cyberse Wicked, core part of our combo. Ideally, I'm playing this at some part in my combo every time. SP Little Knight is like an honorary Malice card. Don't sleep on the fact that if you do need to, link summon into this card on your turn, you can then banish. Um, what's the effect here? If it's link summon, you can target one card in the field in either graveyard, banish it. So if you have a Malice name in your graveyard that hasn't been banished, this is one way it kind of becomes like a Bestial or a March Hare. You don't just have to banish opponents' monsters. Protect Code Talker is part of our Firewall combo. I'll go into that when we do the replay. Red Ransom and Cryptor. I go back and forth on running 2 copies of each or 2 copies of Cryptor. There's a lot of extra deck shenanigans right now that invoked Aeon, Fusion Monster that takes cards from your extra deck, Cool Tunes takes cards from your extra deck. There are a few different strategies out there right now that kind of mess with your deck and mess with your numbers. So it's not impossible that like this Link Spider could be a second Cryptor, or this IP could be a second Cryptor. In fact, just do this in real time. I think I'd rather have. It's really it can seem kind of like cope, but 2 Cryptors on the board with like doubled attack and bolt. These are just beat sticks. Hard to beat going second. Access Code Talker, another honorary Malice card, going second. If this card is uninterrupted or it isn't dealt with quickly, you're just going to run away with the game. Firewall for the combo, I'll show you in the replay. And then I've gone back and forth on Ally Code. I've had a moment where I thought, should we just cut this card? Why do I want to link? I think like the link slop. Like I'm gonna just climb to link 5 because that's what you do. Malice is it's a disruptive deck and it has a lot of recursion, right? It's not. It doesn't have to OTK. It doesn't have to puff out its chest every time. So I've actually gone back and forth, but where I've ultimately landed is I have a combo. I currently my current end board does include the Ally Code Talker, and so having that Omni negate and banish is really nice. And obviously, there's a reason Malice players enjoy this card. Side deck, I'm of the opinion that you should be running 3 Solemn Accusation and 3 Pot of Sloth until further notice. I'm also of the opinion that Mistaken Arrest is probably also should be a mandatory 2 of or 3 of. I'd been running 2 and sort of just swapping out the Droll and Lockbird for Mistaken Arrest, whether I'm going first or second. But this card, basically, when I play this card, Mistaken Arrest makes me feel how I want Ash to make me feel. And what I mean by that is, when I have Ash in my hand, I don't feel good anymore. I think most decks are sort of built to play past Ash. Oh, you have an Ash Blossom, great. I'll just do something else, and I'll just keep comboing, and I'll just keep going. Whereas Mistaken Arrest really just shuts down the whole operation. What a party pooper this card is. I'm sorry to my opponents whenever I play it. I do 1 evenly and 1 Feathers Duster. I don't know. Evenly, I don't know. This could be something else. I'm not crazy about it. I understand its value in certain matchups like Rolad. And maybe there's the logic might be to run 2 copies instead of 3 Mistaken Arrest. And then I run 2 of the Perulia, 2 of the Fool Loss. I don't know how to feel about Charmies. I think I'm of the opinion that they're bad. I think it's a weird predicament because I think if I'm going to say Nibiru is good, well, then you could argue that Charmy is good. But those cards kind of negate each other. If you Charmy someone to death, they're not going to summon 5 times. So now your nib is dead, right? And if you want to nib someone, you don't want to stop them from summoning. So that component is interesting to me. There's a tension there that I haven't fully worked through. Right now I'm running 2 of each because drawing cards is just like the best thing you can do in Yu-Gi-Oh! For most decks. But honestly, I could see a world where these 4 cards get replaced with something else. So what I want to show you is a replay of a recent match, Game 3 against Rolad. I won Game 1, lost Game 2, went to Game 3, and the Game 3, let's see, I think this is it. Yep. So here's my opening hand, right? This is Game 3. I'm going first. Draw the Mistaken Arrest, Bestial, Ash, Doom Solarette Impulse. No Malice names, no Allure of Darkness, no backup. But here's what we're going to do. To start, we're going to special summon the Doom Solarette, which will grab us the trap, set the trap, activate the trap. Now we have 2 bodies on board. We're going to link summon those bodies off into Cherubini. We're going to use Cherubini to dump Dormouse. This, we have not normal summoned. We have 4 cards in hand, 3 cards in graveyard. So now we're going to Bestial, get the Dormouse onto the field, activate Dormouse, Dormouse send the Rabbit, Rabbit onto the field, Rabbit grab the trap. And now we have 5 cards on the board, 3 cards in hand, 2 cards in graveyard. Have not normal summoned. Did not have a Malice name in hand to start the combo. From here, we're going into Red Ransom. Malice players will understand the Red Ransom combo. You activate Red Ransom. You quick effect TB11 to banish the Ransom. You special summon out March Hare. You get your Ransom back, which will get you, you're also going to get your spell card. Get your Ransom back, banish a Chessie onto the field. And now we have 5 cards on field, 4 cards in hand, 5 cards in graveyard. We can now do our Chessie draw 2. I guess I went for the Cyberse Wicked first, which is fine. So now we have Cyberse, Bestial, Ransom, Chessie Cat effect to banish the Malice in the Mirror from hand, draw 2. Now, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you might feel about it, I drew a second copy of Impulse, second copy of Arrest. So you can still see that even with all the good work we're doing, my hand is still a bit limited. I really wish these were different cards because I'm likely not using multiple copies. The game's not going to probably go long enough for that to happen, but we'll see. So I use the Malice in the Mirror banish effect from the banish zone to target TB11, which then grabs me a copy of MTP07. I like this play more than worrying about banishing the White Rabbit on my opponent's turn. I want to set this card before the turn is over. I don't want to set this card on my opponent's turn through some shenanigans that could easily get disrupted. Now what we're going to do, we set 2, the MTP and an Impulse. We are linking off the Ransom and the Bestial into Firewall. Firewall is going to trigger the Cyberse Wicked, which grabbed us back up at Ignister, right? Hold on. So now what we're going to do is special summon the backup, grab Wizard, dump Ash. Why would we dump Ash? Well, we have not used Firewall's effect yet, so hopefully we're just going to grab it back. Wizard, Dormouse. Here we are. 6 monsters on board, 4 cards in hand, 2 spell trap sets, 7 cards in graveyard, 2 cards in banish. We're down to almost 20 cards in deck. Now we need to keep climbing. Protect Code Talker. This gives Firewall's special summon effect, which we're going to use to special summon the March Hare. Now we'll use Firewall's other effect to return 2 cards to hand. We're going to return the Bestial and the Ash Blossom. That just feels great. Going to Cryptor. Cryptor into Access Code. This is where things get fun. When we went into Access Code, Cryptor ended up in Graveyard. Cryptor is an amazing target for Protect Code Talker's Graveyard effect, which you can banish link monsters from your graveyard whose combined link ratings equal exactly 3 to special summon this card. Well, you know what's about to happen? We got to Protect Code Talker back, and we're about to get Cryptor back. Now we go into Code Talker, put back Ransom. So this is my game 3 end board. Allied Code Talker at Ignister. Cryptor pointing to it, so its banish effect can't be negated. Ransom and Access Code Talker as targets for the negate and banish. An Impulse on field, MTP07 on field for another banish. Mistaken Arrest set for my opponent's turn. And in hand, I have Ash, Mistaken Arrest, Impulse, and Druid Worm. You can see here, my opponent didn't do anything. So I didn't go there were no disruptions. I'm very aware that an end board like this really hinges on not being disrupted. But if you play enough matches of Yu-Gi-Oh, you're going to have games where you don't get disrupted, just like you're going to have games where your opponent is not disrupted and your hand is a bunch of nonsense and you just have to watch them combo. My opponent was polite enough to watch me combo. They must have believed strongly enough that they had something in hand they could use to turn the tide or get back in the game. So here's what happens after I pass turn. My opponent goes branded in high spirits. I immediately chain mistaken arrest, and they surrender. And that felt really good. This is the end board I'm currently going for. You can get to this end board on game one as well. Nothing about my end board other than the mistaken arrest. You can have Ash in hand, you can have a Bestial, you can have Impulse, you can have all four of these Link monsters. You'd have the same graveyard setup. So this is currently, at least on the ladder, the combo and the sequencing that I'm practicing. Let me know if you have a better game one or game, Malice end board. Always interested in learning more about the deck and learning how to play it better. But for me, anyway, that has been a really fun way to play the deck. And what I mean by that is I really enjoy the synergy and the shenanigans of this small Phantom Knights package. I did take, when I was going first, I believe, I don't remember if GWC was in my deck and I just chose MTPO7 or not, but that's like a decision point. And then from there, it's just a matter of, hanging on for dear life and being smart with your sequencing, saving saving your Bestial for the right target, saving your Ash for the right target if you can help it. Anyway, let me know what you think. Hope you enjoyed the video. Very curious to see what others are playing and how others are approaching this format with Malice. Leave a comment, like, and subscribe if you want to see more content from me, and feel free to let me know what kind of content you're interested in. Deeper deck list, combo guides, live matches, match analysis, that kind of thing. Hope you have a great day. Bye.